years, Mike, and probably our thinking is that we want everybody somewhere during their career to go through a challenge like that, and it is challenging. And I'll interject this too, just on that topic. As you know, my older boy played here. I was a senior in 2005, and I alluded to Jared Oberlin. I'll throw out a couple other names too. You know, Brett Chenender was a walk-on on that football team. He's one of Brian's better friends. As a result of the experience, he walked on from a small town in Iowa. I'm not sure Brett even played 10 or 12 plays here, but he's a great team member, valued team member, and today he's doing very well. He's a young father. He's an engineer and works down the Quad Cities, and just you know, a great example to me of what this school's about and this program's about. You know, and Brett was sharing with Brian fairly recently that you know, one of the great things he thought about the program is doing things like that, you know, and being pushed to bounds that, you know, he wasn't sure he could get to. And clearly, you know, squatting in 2004 hasn't helped him as an engineer from a physical standpoint. But I think if you talk to Brett, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think he'd tell you that you know, that exercise and exercises like that, this whole experience, you know, has helped him as a professional and handle the challenges that he faces in a weekly mode.
What would you say to, there was a lot of harsh criticism sent your way in the last few weeks or so. What would you say to that?
I'd say know the facts, and I'd encourage people to know the facts and you know the people involved. That'd be my suggestion, I guess. I'm not in the habit of defending myself, although I've had ample opportunity, I suppose. But I just encourage everybody a moment ago to judge Chris Doyle by his body of work, and I guess I'd say the same thing. And that's fortunately our recruits did that, and I think the majority of the players on our team do the same thing.
One of the specific criticisms was the timetable, and you elaborated some of that. Were you in a position to get back quicker or in a more expeditious way, or was it just logistically not possible to do the best you could?
I could have done anything. I mean, that's for sure. That's a decision I made, and I said, perhaps it was bad judgment on my part. It's a call that I made, and it's kind of like going for it on fourth or not. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong.
How's Chris doing handling the situation, Coach Doyle?
Nobody was more impacted by this than Chris. All of us were impacted. All of us were concerned about the well-being of our players. And Chris was in the room. He was directing that. And ultimately, it's my responsibility. I'm the head coach, and this was an area of Chris's expertise. So, all of us last week, our concern was where are our players at? What's the status, and what's the prognosis moving forward? The good news is everything that we received from our medical staff was positive. But I'll go back to, again, I can tell you, being a parent, a day in the hospital or a night in the hospital seems like a week, and your whole world stops. So, it's a tough experience. It's a very tough experience, and Chris made the rounds a couple times over there, and that wasn't easy either. But I think he's doing fine. I think we're all doing fine, and fortunately, the players are doing much better. So that's an important part of that equation.
A week later, are you any closer to figuring out what might have led to this?
No, and that's really why I wanted to go through the timeline. Again, the only thing that resonated with me a little bit last week was the delay, the 3+ week delay after the bowl game. But when I got all the details, the 2004 break, was very similar, actually, maybe a little longer, and so that kind of shot that theory out of the water. And really, I've read about a couple cases. The one I'm most fixated on was the South Carolina one that was recently in the paper, and a couple of things that intrigued me there. Number one, the percentage was roughly the same, 7 athletes out of 41. This is 13 out of roughly 80 plus, so pretty close to the same percentages. And I haven't read all, maybe as much as some people in the room have, but it seems like they couldn't come up with anything conclusive. And outside of the exercise itself, and then it leads you to the next step is, this wasn't the first time we've tried that. So, we've done something of equal challenge, at least in our opinion, 4 times. The questions begs to be asked is, what happened here? Why this time and not the other 3? And I take it a step further too, just that, I can assure you, we're not the only team that trains hard. I doubt South Carolina swim team is the only team that trains hard. So there's that part's a little bit intriguing to me.
What?
Do you have a theory? I don't. No, I wish I don't. And that's really why I look forward to the experts getting involved here, and I'm hopeful they can come, but it doesn't sound like they came up with much of a conclusion in South Carolina. So, unless we come up with, it was a magic water bottle or something like that, we're not going to repeat this exercise. That's fairly obvious, and we'll find other ways, but we're not going to repeat this exercise.
What kind of condition were the other 60 some odd guys in?
It's a wide range, and that's, I don't know if this answer is connected, but the article I read from Friday, where the medical expert was quoted, he suggested that maybe the players did some things over the weekend. I'm looking at this. I can't imagine our sampling of the student body is much different this year as it was in 2000 or 2004, 2007. So, that's where, to me, it's going to be tough. And I mentioned I've hit 2 sons in the program. James Ferentz played on a bad ankle for a significant amount of time last year. So, he basically rested throughout the month of January during the break, and I can promise you he was not in peak condition when he returned to the program. And he came out of the room. He was sore and stiff, obviously, but didn't end up hospitalized. So, this is something way over my head, and hopefully the medical experts, the scientists, can figure that out and come up with a determination.
When do you anticipate these guys, the 13 guys, to return to winter workouts?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to put a pinpointed time. I can just say this, Kyle Smoot has headed up the team throughout this entire period, did a great job last week, and spoke with him last week, or yesterday, excuse me, and I think he's got an idea. They are currently researching. Again, there aren't a lot of instances like this in collegiate sports, so they're researching right now. The only thing I can tell you is they're going to be very prudent, very cautious, and make sure no players at risk before they return. So I imagine we're probably talking about I don't want to say, but it won't be hours or a matter of a couple days. We're going to be very, very smart about how they re-enter.
Do you anticipate? I mean, you talked a little bit about there were some hard feelings. Do you anticipate losing any players over this?
Yeah, I don't know that I can. I don't anticipate it, but I can't. I certainly can't answer that. Other than I don't anticipate it.
Are you in a position to give us all the names of the athletes? Okay.
I can't, John. No, I think there's some out there, but no, we can't do that.
You've had a lot of former athletes rush to your side. Pat, probably the biggest name out there. Is this just a case of you can't judge it until you've done it?
Yeah, and the only thing I'd say about that, first of all, I appreciate any player that did. And, there are a lot more that didn't obviously go public. That's one of the reasons I brought up Brett Chenender. I could throw out Will Lack, who stays very close to this program. I'd venture to say he's probably one of the smartest, if not smartest, players that ever came through here. Going to Harvard Medical School in Iceback, finishing his medical training here. But I'd point out a guy like that, Jay Bickford. I just read a piece today from Jay. Jay was a one-year player for us and really had to work hard to get in the starting lineup. Will Lack never got to play except in cleanup duty, but I think he would tell you this is a really important part of his life was being on the team here. And I'll point to those guys more so than, you'd expect Chad Greenway to be happy. He's a first-round draft pick and having a great NFL career. And I'm not minimizing that. Chad's what a delight to coach he was then, and he's I consider him a friend. But I think, when you talk about players maybe that all the fans don't know, I think, when you talk about the value of having a good team and a good football program, to me that's, we're not here to produce NFL players. It's a great byproduct, and I'm thrilled to death for every guy who gets the opportunity. But we're here trying to, help guys move along, and hopefully this exercise is something that's going to benefit them in their real lives. Not that playing pro football isn't a real life, but it isn't. It's a fantasy world. I mean, it's a hard world, but a fantasy world. And, the real life is having a job, being a parent, being a spouse. That's real life.
You guys had, I think, 4 guys commit since this came out. What was the noise? The negative. Did you run into any negative recruiting throughout this?
Yeah, negative recruiting, unfortunately, is part of what we do or what we encounter. It's I think a real small group of people that do that, but it happens nonetheless. And I'm not sure it was any more dramatic this year than any other year. And I think it really, again, it speaks to the players that decided to come with us. I think they took their time, they did their homework, and talked to the right people. And seeing is believing. Darian Cooper was here last weekend on campus, and knows Marcus Coker. He's known him for 6, 7 years, maybe 8. I'm not sure exactly, but they played Little League football together, and they have a great relationship. So, Darian had a great great opportunity to talk to someone who's in our program, and he was here the weekend after those exercises, and, so, yeah, I think, again, what it speaks to is that, the recruits did their due diligence, they did their research, and, I think they all feel very, very comfortable about the way things are, and I think they understand none of us would ever put a player at risk intentionally. That was not the design.
Did you get a lot of questions from recruits' parents at that point too?
Well, we tried to be proactive. It's the elephant in the room. One of those deals. So, when this all happened, we tried to be as proactive as we possibly could.
But you might have had a couple people